May I request the chairperson of the panel, Mr. Vivek Talwar, to share the experience of the judges while evaluating the projects and presentations, and of course to announce the winners as well.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to first of all mention that the panel didn't take too long to come to a conclusion. Sometimes that could be good news and sometimes it could be bad news. So I think it is good news. There was consensus, and we'll also try and give you a reasoning on why we took a couple of calls. But I thought before I start all that, I'll just share with you on a lighter note maybe that sitting through the whole day, I asked myself whether there is life beyond PowerPoint. And you could come up with innovative ways of presenting. And innovation is also about risk-taking. But that's probably a food for thought. The other point that came out very clearly, and it probably made the job of the judges very easy. And I want to share that with you. But I like to share it by taking the longer route by sharing a small little story with you. And perhaps that will refresh our minds on what could be innovation and what is continuous improvement. And so in my previous company, I used to do a lot of rural development, and I went into a village near Mithapur in Gujarat, and I was sitting in under a tree on a khatia, on a cot of Rabari household, a local household. And the lady gave me a glass of water which was super cool, really chilled, nice chilled water in summer. And then I asked her, do you have a fridge here? And she said no. And then she pointed out in a house at the threshold where you enter, she had hung a matka on a rope sling. And she said that matka has water. If I keep the matka on the ground, then the water will be, okay, tepid or little cool, but not super chilled. But if I hang it on the sling, and anybody who comes out of the house or goes in gives that sling a little tap, and the matka swings on its pendulum, the water, the moisture on the matka evaporates and the water becomes super cooled. Now there's a big discussion happening all over India on jugaad and innovation. I feel this is pure innovation, not a jugaad, because some people think jugaad is a bad word. It's pure innovation because she has understood how things work and used unique solutions to come up with elegant, simple and effective solutions which are unique. So this could be a small little example on innovation. So when I asked her, how did you figure that out? So she says, when you thresh the crop, the wheat, you want to find out which way the wind is blowing, so you just lick your finger and put it up, and one side of your finger becomes cold. So I know the wind direction is blowing that way, so I need to stand on my stool here so that the husk blows off that way. So she's understood the science behind it, and then she's come up with a solution. So for us, when we were looking at all this, we tried to understand what is the meaning or how would we define innovation. And for me, one way of defining innovation is that innovation would trigger in my mind this thought, wow, it's brilliant. And if it's replicable, I would also ask myself, how come I didn't think of it? Very simple. So we as a team were looking for the wow element in all your entries. And what we saw a lot of rigor, we saw a lot of analysis, we saw a lot of use of quality tools, we saw a lot of process centricity. So we saw a lot of the left brain stuff. I'm not saying left brain stuff is bad. Even in innovation, you need this wonderful marriage between the left brain and the right brain. And when we go into what could be innovation, it could be how do we use that part, the analytics, and then come up with those wow solutions. and that would be the marriage. And so for us, while that might be the overarching theme, we also saw some delightfully innovative approaches, and we saw people coming up with not just innovations, but also some wonderful practices, which also made us think that some of the entries today could have been put in another category, a category of improvements or best practices, etc. Because when we look for innovation, probably all of us in the back of our minds have a certain idea of what innovation is, and so we try and judge it against that. So based on this, I thought I'll give you this background. I also want to mention another point here. Hardly anyone talked about the role of leadership. Hardly anyone talked about the sense of euphoria, the sense of celebration when you broke through, you came up with those fantastic solutions. Hardly anyone talked about the culture in the organizations that leads to innovation. And innovative organizations, they have a different DNA. So we were also looking at some kind of responses on these softer things, which also are very important for innovation to actually thrive in organizations. So that sense of pride, sense of achievement, sense of passion is also important for us to hear when we sit on that side. On the category of green initiatives, what I just thought I'll qualify some of the calls that we took here. We were looking for companies going beyond compliance. Green initiative is also about social responsibility. It's not just about license to operate. It's about actually making a difference and not just earning the right to operate, but being seen as a leader who's going to make a change for all stakeholders, not just your customers or not just your employees, for the stakeholders of this planet Earth. So we were looking for some of those. I hope people don't think that we have cranked up the standards here, but I believe it's better to raise the bar than lower the bar just because we have entries. And I took permission from Mr. Lula on this, and as a team, I think we felt that it's important that we do not lower the bar there. So in that category, we do not have a first, the winner, the first prize. We have a joint second prize there. Okay, so in the Innovate, I think I want to leave, before we announce the results, I want to leave behind the overall sentiment, because it seems as if there's a lot of stuff that I'm mentioning here which seems to be on the negative side. But on the positive side, it's very heartening to see such a lot of energy among companies to make a meaningful change in organizations. The kind of use of quality tools that we saw was fantastic. We saw tremendous amount of rigor, and I'm sure a lot of us sitting here would be taking back some of the methodologies that people were using and some of the approaches people used in their presentation.